Chapter 1. The Situation. The gym smelled like it always did at 6 a.m. Rubber, sweat, and the burnt coffee smell drifting over from the front desk. Cody racked his bar and caught his breath, watching Big Tom load 45s onto a leg press like they weighed nothing. 4 years he'd been coming here. 4 years of nods, small talk, the occasional spot on bench day. Nobody at this gym knew what he used to do for a living, and nobody ever would, not exactly. But starting today, some of them were going to know a little more than they used to. Did you serve, Tom? I don't think I've ever asked you that. Tom grinned, wiping his neck with a towel. Yes, sir, but I'm no hero. Did 4 years, never even left the U.S. Wanted to. Got stuck scraping bird crap off buoys in the North Pacific, up in Alaska. My nephew was Coast Guard, too. He got the DR, the Caribbean. Man, you should hear his stories about the women down there. For 20 bucks, he said, never mind, that's a story for another time. I hear you. Cody let that moment breathe before he turned it. Let me ask you something. What did you think about the direction of the country right now? All this crime, the border, in the months after the 2020 Dominion cycle, the country felt like it had split down the middle and then kept splitting. The election had been called for Marcus Hale and Lila Serrano, leaders of the new Unity Party, but nearly half the nation believed the vote had been bent, twisted, or outright stolen. Hale's first act in office, loosening border controls and expanding emergency entry waivers, brought millions across in a single year, overwhelming cities that were already buckling. People didn't argue about it anymore. They fought about it. Every job site, every bar, every diner booth had its own version of the same conversation, and every version ended the same way. Something was breaking, and nobody in charge seemed interested in stopping it. I guess I just figured it was people coming up for a better life, doing the jobs nobody else wants. That's what most people figure. Cody kept his voice easy, the way he learned to, the way that made people lean in instead of pull back. I was in the Marine Corps 23 years. Went in at 18, retired at 41, a couple years back now. Still got buddies scattered through different parts of the government. And what they're telling me, and you didn't hear this from me, is some of these countries have been opening their prisons, sending their own people north. Same thing Castro did back in the 80s. You remember that? Seriously? Tom set the towel down. I had no idea. Cody said nothing else. He didn't need to. He planted it, and now it would sit in Tom's head all day, taking root the way these conversations always did. A little context here, a suggestion there, never a demand, never even really an argument, just enough to make a man start asking his own questions and start answering them the way Cody needed him to. Nobody at the gym would have guessed that the easy, friendly guy on the leg press had once been paid by the United States government to have exactly this kind of conversation, that there was a name for it, MISO, Military Information Support Operations, and that Cody had been very, very good at it. They wouldn't have known either why the ink running down from behind his ear, a black widow dangling from a single thread of silk, meant something different on him than it would have on anybody else in the building. Most active duty Marines couldn't wear visible ink like that. Cody's unit had never much cared about the Uniform Code of Military Justice's opinion on tattoos, or hair, or of a lot of other things. When your MOS put you in the fraction of a percent that didn't officially exist, the UCMJ tended to look the other way. He'd chosen Tom first for a reason. Tom was likable, trusted, the kind of guy other guys believed. And Tom, without knowing it, was about to become the first domino. Cody let a few more reps pass before he spoke again, casual, like it had just occurred to him. Hey, you free for lunch one day this week? There's something I've been working on, wanted to run it by you. He held up a hand before Tom could even answer. And don't worry, brother, I'm not about to get you into Amway or some multi-level vitamin thing. I've got money. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Tom laughed. All right, now I'm curious. Thursday work? Thursday works. They met at a diner off the highway, the kind of place with vinyl booths and a laminated menu that hadn't changed in a decade. Tom ordered a patty melt. Cody barely touched his coffee. So, Tom said, what's this big pitch? Should I be worried? Cody smiled. There was nothing easy in it now. The gym version of himself, loose, chatty, harmless, had stayed in the parking lot. Remember what I said Tuesday about not selling you anything? Yeah. Well, that isn't entirely accurate. He let that sit. I promise you it won't cost you a dime, but I am asking you to join something. Something bigger than anything either one of us did in uniform, and we both did a lot. Tom set his fork down. What are we talking about, Cody? Before I say another word, I need to know I can trust you with silence, not I probably won't mention it. I'm talking about silence forever. Can you give me that? Something in Tom's face changed. Not fear exactly, more like the specific attention of a man who'd once had a security clearance and remembered what kind of question that meant. Yeah, you can. Cody nodded slowly, like he was deciding whether to believe him, though he already decided days ago. Here's how this works. You're going to find one person, just one, that you trust with your life, the way I trust you right now. Somebody capable. You're going to bring him in the same way I just brought you in. That's step one. Bring him into what? I'm getting there. Step two, you're going to find somebody that needs to die. The diner kept going on around them, a waitress refilling coffee 2 booths down, a bell over the door, while Tom just stared. Not a stranger you pick out of a phone book, Cody went on, quiet, even. Somebody you already know is bad. Somebody who's hurt people and walked away from it clean because the system we both swore an oath to couldn't or wouldn't touch him. You're going to learn everything about this man, where he drinks, who's he's sleeping with, his woman, and whoever he's not telling her about, what time he leaves the house, what car he drives, who he calls, everything. Cody, you will not use your phone, not your laptop, not your home internet, none of it. You're going to buy a burner, cash. You're going to do your digging at a library or some internet cafe where nobody's looking twice at you. Nothing connects back to you. Nothing connects back to me. Tom's jaw worked like he was chewing on words before he let them out. You're talking about killing someone. I'm talking about justice, Tom. The kind we don't get anymore. Cody leaned in an inch, no more. This is serious, dead serious, and I need to know right now whether I can trust you with it. And if I say no, if I walk out of here and call somebody? Cody's expression didn't move, which was somehow worse than if it did. Then nothing happens to you. I promise you that. But I'll tell you this much. There are people a long way above me who want this to happen. People who'd make sure nothing ever happened to me either way. So it wouldn't change anything. It'd just mean you walked away from something that was going to happen with or without you. It wasn't true. There was no one above Cody, no counsel, no command, nothing but a plan he'd built alone in the dark for 3 years. But he watched it land on Tom's face exactly the way he needed it to, not as a threat, but as proof that this was real, sanctioned, bigger than one grieving Marine with a grudge. Men like Tom didn't follow ideas. They followed the belief that something larger was already in motion, and that the only choice left was whether to be a part of it. Tom was quiet for a long moment, turning his coffee cup a slow half circle on the table. "Okay," he said finally. "Okay, I'm in." Cody nodded once, like a transaction closing, and picked up his coffee. Then, almost an afterthought, like it was the smallest detail in the world instead of the one that mattered the most, he added, "One more thing. Whoever you bring in, don't pick somebody from around here." Around here meaning Miami or meaning anywhere close? Go north. Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, further if you've got somebody up that way you trust. Whoever you bring in, tell him the same thing. His guy goes north of him. Everybody moves the chain in one direction, away from where they started. Tom frowned a little bit. "Why does that matter?" "It matters. Trust me on it." Cody said it in the flat way he'd said everything. Not an invitation to ask twice. Tom didn't ask twice.